Welcome to Weasel Jaw Gaming, and today we're talking about the Zacian themed deck and the tactics and pros and cons and strengths and weaknesses of that deck to help you make the most out of it. Of course, this is a metal deck. It contains 18 metal power cards. We'll hop right into the Pokemon to start with here. And those starter Pokemon that you want to be using right at the beginning of the game are Hawlucha and Pidove. Hawlucha has a 1 energy windfall ability that shuffles your hand into your deck. Then you draw 5 cards. This is great, especially early on. It allows you to cycle that hand if you have maybe higher evolution cards or supporter cards that you don't need right now. This allows you to cycle those cards back into the deck so that you can draw them later, but then pull 5 new cards that you can use next turn that maybe will give you the stuff that you really want right now. Pidove has, to a lesser effect, has the Chirp attack, which allows you to search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon with fighting resistance, reveal them, and put them into your hand. This is a great way to build up your Unfezant Pidove Tranquil evolutionary line. So it's a great way to get those cards rolling right away from the start. Either one of those is a good way to start the game. If you pull one of those cards, that's your starter you're going to want to put out. For defense, really the only card that has any kind of defensive ability in your deck is Unfezant. And it's that first attack there, the 2 energy Daunt. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon's attack do 50 less damage. And that attack does 50 damage. Most attacks that have a damage component with a defensive component are much less than 50. And 50 is good enough that it can knock out some basics. Will knock out most basics and first tier evolutions in 2 attack rounds, while also blocking 50 damage from itself, which is pretty impressive. Next up, we're going to talk about the power hitters of the deck. And that's what this deck has a lot of. There's not much defense, not much for starters, but there are a lot of attacking type Pokemon. So first up is the Galarian Meowth, followed by the Galarian Berserker. Now, the Meowth himself isn't that impressive. You can do the 1 energy Hone Claws, followed by the 2 energy Slash, which will allow you to do 90 damage every other turn. Or with just Slash, you can do 30 damage every turn. That makes Meowth not a bad starter either. You put him out there every other turn, you can do 90 damage. That's pretty impressive. Berserker, however, has a 3 energy Claw Dagger, which allows you to flip 3 coins and you do 80 damage for each heads. That means a potential of 0, 80, 160, or 240 damage. Because it is based on coin flips, it's very RNG dependent. You can't depend on that damage to happen, but it can pull you out of a tight situation. It can land in a pinch. Next up is Nosepass and Probopass. Nosepass himself is not very impressive, but Probopass is. Probopass has 140 health, has 2 different attacks. The obvious one isn't even the one I use very much. And that's the 3 energy Heavy Impact that does 120 damage. Not bad. 3 energy for 120 damage is honestly pretty average for your higher end attackers in this generation. 140 health is actually a little more than what you see on people that can do that kind of damage. So Probopass is kind of impressive right there. Gravitational Drop, though, is the key element for this Pokemon. 1 energy Gravitational Drop does 10 damage plus. This attack does 30 more damage for each energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. That's where this attack really shines. If you take a deck like Surfetched, where a lot of the Pokemon have a 4 energy retreat cost, that's going to up this to 130 damage for 1 energy. If you're fighting something that's got a 3 energy retreat cost, then you're looking at 100 damage for that 1 energy. And that's where Probopass really shines. What I like to do with Probopass is I'll just keep Nosepass on my bench. Probopass will just stay in my hand. When the opponent plays some kind of high retreat cost Pokemon from their bench to take out whatever I have in the active slot, then you play Nosepass, evolve him, throw 1 energy on him, and do 130 damage. It's very impressive. It's very intimidating. Probopass's 140 health can often last through an attack. And against a lot of those heavy hitters out there and some decks, that gravitational drop is a huge power that you have in your hand to play against them. Next up, of course, is Zacian himself, the mascot of this theme deck. And Zacian has 120 health, has a 2 energy stream for 30 damage, plus you get to attach an energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon, and a 3 energy smashing edge for 120 damage. You have to flip a coin. If tails, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. So again, there's that 3 energy, 120 damage, kind of like Probopass's 120 heavy impact. You only have 120 health compared to Probopass's 140. So again, that's showing Probopass is kind of just better with that 3 energy attack. But again, gravitational drop is the key to that Pokemon. Now with Smashing Edge here, you have a 50-50 chance of losing 2 energy. And you have to discard those. Now you can on the next turn play another energy from your hand, use Energy Stream, and then you have this Pokemon back up to 3 energy again. So Zacian can kind of be recycled with energy. Another reason you want to be careful with your energy with Probopass and use that gravitational drop if possible is that preserves energy for other things. So Zacian can be pretty effective. You got to be careful about it. You got to know, you got to have that energy in your hand. You got to know when to use them. You can stack a little bit of extra energy. You know, if you have 4 energy on Zacian and then he discards 2, then the next turn you can play an energy and you can still do that Smashing Edge attack. So putting a 4th energy on him can really help you out, but you got to watch it. You don't want to lose 4 energy by being knocked out by an opponent's Pokemon. So you got to be careful. Next up, kind of the big hitter of your deck is going to be based off of your evolutionary path from P-Dove through Tranquil. We've already talked a little bit about P-Dove, makes a good starter. Tranquil isn't a great starter, which is why we didn't mention him earlier. 2 energy Razor Wing does 40 damage, 3 energy Gust does 60, only has 80 hit points. Not something I really want to put out there early. But if you follow that evolutionary path, you come to Unfezant, who we've already talked about their defensive capability with Daunt. Now the key here is that Unfezant has 150 health, which is pretty impressive. That Daunt ability allows you to attack weaker, basic Pokemon, or maybe if the opponent doesn't have any energy on the Pokemon, is just stalling, you can do Daunts to kind of save time or whatnot. But Air Slash is very nice. 3 energy Air Slash does 150 damage, but you have to discard 1 energy from this Pokemon. Again, this is why you want to be energy efficient with things like Probopass and saving that energy only where you need it. You don't want to just start stocking energy all over all your bench Pokemon because you may need it to keep someone like Unfezant in the game for a long period of time. So Air Slash again, 150 damage, and you discard an energy. But you can always put an energy on the next turn and attack again. So keep that in mind. So that's it for our Pokemon. Clearly, if we're looking at types, you have a lot of metal and you have some flying type. This means that your strengths are against grass type and against fighting type. You're going to be weak to lightning and fire. Because you do have a little bit of flexibility with Unfezant being in your deck, and Unfezant being your biggest hitter, but you still have Zacian, Probopass, and Berserker, you can kind of still deal with lightning and fire-based decks. If you're going against a fire deck, you really want to focus around Unfezant because you're not going to have that weakness that your metal Pokemon have. And if you're going against an electric-based deck, which there isn't any in the current generation right now, there's not any even in Vivid Voltage. So theme deck-wise, you're pretty safe against electric. But if you are facing off against someone with an electric theme deck, then you can always go with the rest of your metal group. And you can really do pretty well against those various types. So now on to our trainer cards. For drawing cards, you actually have a whole lot of draw ability in this deck. We, of course, have Hop. There's 4 Hops in this deck. And there's 2 Dans in this deck. Hop just allows you to draw 3 cards. Dan draws 2 cards. And you play rock, paper, scissors to see if you can draw 2 more. Both pretty good, just straight up draw cards. You also have Professor's Research. This allows you to discard your hand and draw 7 new cards. I kind of hate Professor's Research. Cynthia's a much better card. I like playing those kind of cards. Even Halucha's Windfall is a better situation. I don't like throwing away cards. You get in a situation where, yeah, you desperately need some Pokemon, but you're going to have to throw away 3 or 4 energy to get it. That's going to come back to bite you later. And vice versa, too. You desperately need energy and you have good Pokemon in your hand. Well, you don't want to throw those away, especially if they're stage 1, stage 2 evolutions. So Professor's Research is really good in a pinch, or if you have things in your hand that you actually can sacrifice. For tracking down additional Pokemon, you don't have a whole lot of options, but you have a little bit. Great Ball allows you to look at the top 7 cards of your deck and draw a Pokemon out of that group. PokeKit allows you to search your deck for any Pokemon, reveal it, and put it in your hand. So Great Ball is kind of your, I just need to get something on the board, or I'm desperately trying to get that evolution. PokeKit is best used to finish an evolutionary line. You want to use it to pull a very specific card like Probopass or a Zacian or an Unfezant when you already have P-Dove and Tranquil. Or if you have Tranquil and Unfezant in your hand, using PokeKid to get that, to find that P-Dove that's hiding deep in your deck so that you can start building that line. That's where you want to be using PokeKid. Now also for drawing Pokemon, you have Sonia. Sonia allows you to search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, reveal them, and put them in your hand, which is a great way to get some basic Pokemon down. Zacian is a basic. If you have Unfezant and Tranquil in your hand, but you need P-Dove, or you have a Galarian Berserker, but you need Meowth, it's a great way to get moving and pulling some basic Pokemon. However, I prefer to use Sonia for energy. This deck needs a lot of energy. Zacian will be discarding energy. Unfezant will be discarding energy. While none of your Pokemon have huge energy requirements, they do discard a lot of energy. So you are going to want to make sure to maybe save Sonia for energy. Along with that, you do have Metal Saucer. Metal Saucer allows you to attach an energy card from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. Keep that in mind that it is benched Pokemon. It can't be your active Pokemon. Though Metal Saucer will help you recover some of that lost energy from Zacian, from Unfezant, from lost Pokemon. Sonia, again, will allow you to pull that energy straight out of your deck to help you get things boosted so that they're able to do their attacks. For your oddball cards, you do have, of course, Switch that can move some Pokemon around. In this deck, there's no real tricks that you're using this on. It's more of a situation if you need to pull Zacian back to start putting energy on him again, or to save a Pokemon from a bad attack that would be coming next turn. And of course, you can mess with their deck a little bit with your 2 Pokemon catchers, where you get a 50-50 chance to make them change their Pokemon. Now, on to the stats of this deck. There is a pretty decent amount of attacks that you can do, some high power stuff. Heavy impact, gravitational drop on Probopass, smashing edge on Zacian. Unfezant has 150 damage air slash attack. Berserker can do, with luck, a considerable amount of damage. So there is a lot of power in this deck. Speed is how fast that deck can get up to playing these cards, to where you can actually be effective with the Pokemon you have available to you. And this deck is fairly fast, just due to the low amount of energy needed for a lot of this stuff. Probopass can be hitting hard with 1 energy. Berserker, Zacian, Unfezant are all 3 energy high-end attacks. So you can pretty quickly get on the board and start doing damage. Agility is your ability to pull Pokemon from the deck, get them into play. And this deck has a lot of draws. Has Hawlucha, has Great Balls, Pokekid, Sonia. You have a lot of ways to get Pokemon on your bench and start reacting to the enemy. Next up is efficiency. And this is an area that deals with how well it handles energy. And I put it at a 2. It's not a high energy dependent deck, but because it dumps so much energy from some of its Pokemon and it kind of struggles to keep energy coming out, it only ranks as a 2. You're going to cycle a lot of energy. You're going to need to make sure you have a lot of energy in your hand to keep it working. The complexity of the deck is a 2. It's not a very complicated deck to play. Resilience is 3. Unfezant's got a little bit of defense. There's some high health here with Probopass, Unfezant, Zacian, Berserker. So it can hold out fairly well. So it does have a resilience of 3. Your type ability, your ability to deal with various types of decks, is actually fairly decent at a 3. Your ability to manipulate the opponent's deck is pretty low at a 1. So there's your stats. Hopefully this information will help you play the Zacian deck a little bit better, give you some tips and abilities to one-up your opponent. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.